My name is Héloïse and I am the singer in the Hermes Experiment, and I will be talking to you about how to write for the voice, and in particular how to write for my voice type, which is a soprano, so the higher end of the spectrum amongst the singers. As well as chatting to you about different techniques and things to watch out for, I will be also performing some excerpts from 3 wonderful pieces which demonstrate brilliantly how one can write for the voice, and which I hope will inspire you and give you some ideas for your own pieces. So first of all, when writing for a singer, it's important to know their range. And so you will be writing for me, so I am a soprano, which means that my range goes from roughly a bottom A underneath the middle C on the treble clef to a top B, which is just above the last line on the treble clef. This is all on the handout, so you can see that very clearly, and the handout is available on our website to download. So a few things to mention with regards to the range. Make sure that although I can sing all these notes, use the outer notes of the range very sparingly and for special moments. It's important to know that as a soprano, when I sing in my lower register, I'm going to be fairly quiet, and the higher I go, the louder I will get. So if you have a moment that's particularly intense and you want it to be very loud, then you might want to set it quite high in my register, and perhaps for something more intimate or quiet, the lower part of my register might work quite well. Also, when you set words in the very high end of the register, make sure that they can be understandable, and singing very high with a lot of words is quite difficult, so do not set too many words when it's really high, so because you want the listener to really understand them. Also, one final thing about the range and sort of how you write for the voice generally, it's important in a vocal piece to give the singer breaks and let them have time to recuperate, especially after a long phrase, and allow for the singer to have enough time to breathe. So really think about that when you set the text, and try it yourself. How long do you think the singer can hold this phrase for, and when will they need to breathe? And also, because you're writing for voice plus other instruments, then it's important to have moments where just perhaps the instruments play, and give a little section where it's just instrumental with the singer having a complete break so they can recuperate. So I will now go on to demonstrate 3 pieces, which, as I said before, are really good examples of how you might want to go about your own pieces. So the first excerpt is from a beautiful song by Emily Hall called The End of the Ending. So I will first perform it, and then we'll have a little chat about it. We've reached the end of the ending. There is nothing left to lose. We've reached the end of the ending. So I stroke and stroke your face. So this is a piece which normally has instruments as well, but I've just sung the vocal line. And in this piece, as you can hear, Emily was very careful when setting the text. I think when you're going to have to set your text and the words and how to transform your words into a song, I really encourage you to first speak the text and see how naturally you would say the text, and then see where the natural stresses when you speak arrive in the sentence, and then try and translate that musically and find the correct or the rhythm that feels the most adapted to the natural way you would speak it. So in Emily's song, she probably thought, if I was speaking the text, I would say, we've reached the end of the ending. And then she translated that into music. We've reached the end of the ending. And then it's very clear for the listener, they will understand the words. And that's really important when writing a song, because obviously the singer will carry the story and you want the listener to really understand what's happening in this song. So really think about word setting and word painting. The second thing which I wanted to mention in Emily's piece is that she chose very few words. So in fact, this text is a very short poem, and she only used these few lines, and then next in the piece she repeated those lines again and again. And so just to make it clear that it's very fine to just use a few words or a few sentences, but then repeat them and make the most of them. You don't need too much text, and I can't stress that enough. This leads me to the second example in this video, which is a beautiful piece by Josephine Stevenson called Tanka. Again, she chose a very short poem, just a few lines, poem written by Ben Osborne. And she also repeated the text, and what she did is really interesting, because first we hear the text in the song in its natural form, kind of traditional, and then she deconstructed the words themselves, expanded them, and really played around the sounds that the words themselves make. So I will demonstrate that quickly now. I will first sing the opening material, which is just the standard setting, if you like. There are moments when shadows bridge the distance between distinct forms. So we hear this opening material, and then later in the piece we hear it again, but expanded. Moments when shadows So you see how she deconstructed the word, expanded them, and then played around the different sounds that form the words. And this is also on the handout. When you write your piece, I really encourage you to play around those sounds. And so obviously in a word, you've got consonants, you've got sounds like p, t, k, which are not necessarily on a note, but which you can use in a sort of beatboxing way. And that can be really fun and interesting to explore. And finally, I've come to the end of the video, and I've got one more excerpt for you. And this is from Misha Müller-Vibardo's The Linden Tree. It's a very beautiful and very simple folk song. And I just wanted to sing to you the opening few lines. What Misha's done, again, it's very clever because it's very simple, but he played around the rhythm and sort of moved around the notes in a way that make the words, again, very clear to the audience, but which create a really wonderful atmosphere. Upon a distant hillside, there stands a linden tree. As children we would play there are just the opening few lines, but you can hear how wonderfully atmospheric it becomes with this text setting that Misha did, and also the singer has time to breathe between the phrases. So I hope this has given you an insight on how to write for the voice, and good luck with your pieces.